Hello everyone, this is Clean Slate Graffiti. My name is Siddhant, Thomas.
And Thomas here.
And we are back again, this time with a special friend. His name is Akhil. Akhil, say hi.
Never before someone referred to me as special.
लाइफ में सब पहली बार होता है रे.
शायद से आखिरी बार भी हो सकता है.
शायद से आखिरी बार भी हो सकता है.
But enjoy while it lasts. Honestly.
Enjoy, yeah, exactly. Enjoy till it lasts. So
I hope it doesn't last too long. खाना भी बनाना है.
अच्छा. Guess मतलब UK का है यहाँ पे हिंदुस्तान में.
ये मतलब ये हमारे पॉडकास्ट पे आके हमें रोस्ट कर रहा है, but okay, anyway.
Okay, cool.
So Akhil's a friend of ours. He works as a data scientist in a betting company based in the UK. तो लड़का NRI बन चुका है technically, and yeah, so we thought कि since we discussed the topic of casino and betting in the last podcast, हमें लगा कि it will be a good option to call him over and understand this dhanda or this business in a
वाहियात का धंधा.
क्या?
वाहियात का धंधा.
वाहियात का धंधा.
Shark Tank.
अच्छा हाँ, Shark Tank reference. तो हाँ, Shark Tank वो धंधा ही बोलता है. मेरे what क्या intentionally I made that statement.
But it's actually a good series. Do you feel that ये cringy है? मतलब I feel it's fine.
I don't think it's cringy, man.
It's a good series.
Man. It's a good.
What is Shark Tank?
Yeah, so people.
It's fun.
Yeah, people told that it's kind of cringy. I saw the comments over the net, and then like, okay, let's watch it out. But it didn't seem that bad. It teaches a lot of things.
At this point, I just think what is not cringy. I mean, any content that thrives nowadays is cringy.
सही बात है. सही बात.
It has to be cringy in some way.
It has to be.
They did include some elements which they need not have, but it's just to cater to all audience, I guess, just to make it fun.
I think वो cringy डाल के they are targeting the masses also, but for the classy people, I mean, there are still some things which are good. Like, I mean, you can see the way the sharks are targeting, how they actually understand the business model. मेरे को वो process genuinely बड़ा मस्त लगता है कि यार समझते हैं तुम देखो. And especially like that अश्नीर वो जैसे उस चीज को कैसे monetize किया जाए, मतलब वो अप्रोच मेरे को बड़ी सही लगती है कि इस लाइक नहीं तेरा चलेगा ही नहीं क्योंकि मार्केट में ये प्रॉब्लम है. वो बंदा ने उसने वो प्रॉब्लम आइडेंटिफाई नहीं करी होगी और ये पहले ही बता देगा ये प्रॉब्लम है. तो वो अच्छा लगता है. लाइक देयर नॉलेज इज गुड दैट है. बट अगेन there are some cringy bits.
If they wanted it to be perfect, like all good business ideas, I'm pretty sure they would have just filtered them to include only the few good ones.
Correct.
But I think that the point was, well, we as an audience are voyeuristic and just love to see someone failing and some bad idea being roasted. So, so that's the reason they include those as well, I guess.
Possibly.
Controversial. We need to have something dramatic out there happening.
Exactly.
In fact, मैं कल परसों शार्क टैंक ऑस्ट्रेलिया का एक शो देख रहा था और उसमें एक एपिसोड देख रहा था और उसमें there was this guy, I forgot his name, I think Kim था उसका, and he came for $200,000 for 15% stake in the company. ठीक है, $250,000. और it was a knowledge sharing firm, जैसे स्किल शेयर टाइप हो गया ना, उस तरह का था उसका आइडिया. पुराना एपिसोड है. तो उससे पूछा किसी शार्क ने, so what is your quarter to quarter revenue? कहता I don't understand the question. कहता इस क्वार्टर में कितना कमाया, उसके अगले क्वार्टर में कितना कमाया. This guy was blank, like actually blank. तो इसको literally the Sharksmen, what, you're not prepared, and if you're not prepared in while pitching your company to us, we are not feeling comfortable to spend invest in your company. तो एक शार्क ने लिटरली गैम्बल किया. अच्छा ठीक है, काम करते हैं, मैं तेरे को 200,000 दूंगा फॉर 50% स्टेक, क्योंकि उसने मतलब इस शार्क ने इस पिक्चर को कन्विंस कर दिया कि मैं तेरे पे गैम्बल खेल रहा हूँ. और ये बंदा he actually got sold, man. He got sold. अभी एक इसमें भी आया था, वो गुजराती लड़का आया था वो. हाँ, इंडिया वाले में भी कुछ
वो तो था ही.
हाँ,
नहीं, there was this guy, Kashmiri guy, who made Siemens invention, but those invention are really bad. Like,
अच्छा वो जर्मनी वाला हाँ, जर्मनी ऑटोमोबाइल इंजीनियर.
फिर Piyush Bansal bought that guy for 75%, man. Like, and he didn't buy the company. He bought the person. He said that, okay, you stop everything that you're doing, and I'll give you a new problem statement. 75% of whatever comes from you henceforth is mine. You know? So
मेरे को
he
नहीं पता इस
bought the
एपिसोड का
person.
ये एक्चुअली कंक्लूजन था मेरे को नहीं पता उस डिस्कशन
हाँ,
का.
I'm not sure if 70 था, but more than 50%. And Ashneer and this guy went like, bro, तू slave बन चुका है. This is slavery. This is modern day slavery. And I was like, yeah, cool है. But I couldn't understand that. But then this guy came out and he went like, I know I sold myself, but I'll never be a good businessman. All I know is how to invent things. And if someone's getting me a crore, I wouldn't mind keeping 25 lakhs of it. So उसके point of views में वो कहते हैं कि मैं कभी सही हो ही नहीं सकता. So okay,
चल ठीक है मतलब
25%
he knew it मतलब he knew he was
he
going
knew
for a
his
job.
downfalls. Huh?
He
Yeah,
knew
he
he was
knew he
going for a
got
job.
a job. Yeah, basically he got a job.
अरे
Yeah.
यार डिस्टर्बेंस आ रही है एम्बुलेंस की.
नहीं नहीं
नहीं फिर ठीक है.
It's fine.
ठीक है यार मतलब इतना इतना चलता है कोई
इतना
सीन
चलता
नहीं
है इतना चलता है. Anyway, should we come back to
Yeah.
our business?
और
Our business. तो अखिल tell
Right.
us about your company, man. क्या है तू क्या करता है? तेरी कंपनी क्या है? तू क्या है?
Right. I'll try to give a high level overview. There's a few things that my company wants to do now. One is to operate a betting exchange. If you've heard of them, it's very similar to a stock exchange. Um, in a traditional betting setup, there's a bookmaker, and that guy deals in bets, and you I mean, in respect of what bet you're placing, you bet against the bookmaker, not against anyone else. But in betting exchange, you get to bet against people. You get to sell your bets, buy bets. It's exactly how a stock exchange operates. So the idea is to operate that, and the other key part of the business is to this is again very similar to investment bankers.
all right one thing
Yeah.
there what are you betting on? What kind of stuff do people bet on?
Okay. What kind of stuff do
Actually,
people bet on? This is very interesting.
Actually, before you answer that, I'll add another question.
हाँ.
मैं जब पैसा डाल रहा हूँ वो exactly कहाँ जा रहा है? और who are these other people जो तूने बोला it's not gonna be a bookie or it's the other people that I'm gonna be betting against or betting with.
That too.
वो मतलब पूरा समझा मतलब that way. हाँ. Overview मत दे. Overview went over.
Right.
गूगल करना
So,
नहीं पड़ना चाहिए मेरे को.
हाँ, simple.
Okay, fine. So to answer Thomas' question on what do people bet on? People bet on everything, every single thing that you could possibly think of. If you go to some popular betting exchange like Betfair and just look at what are the available bets, I mean it's an exaggeration, but sometimes I wonder if people even bet on someone sneezing. That's how prevalent it is.
कि मतलब I'll bet कि ये बंदा छीकेगा या नहीं छीकेगा.
Yeah, I mean that was an exaggeration, but
Okay.
this is to show the level
extent of betting. Okay.
Yeah, the extent. I mean, there's a bet on almost anything that you could think of that happens. People bet on politics. People bet on movies. People bet on everything.
So that means in let's say in a stock market there is already some stock and that will go in and bet or something. Do I as a betting person, as a person who wants to go to your exchange to bet on something, do I have the flexibility to make my own game there? Like okay, it's something like Big Shot. That was that guy. Michael Burry went and created something like a shorting of CDO because no one else has done it before, right? So do I get to make bets like that कि किसी और ने किया ही नहीं है और मैंने शुरू किया आज?
I'm not completely sure on that. I'm pretty sure that there could be something like that, but I can't say you can. So yeah, I'll leave it there. But yeah, the thing is, there's so many bets available, so many topics available that to bet on. But my company for now is focusing just on sports betting and that to football for now. And the the plans in the future involves tennis and horse racing. Like basically every sport that has most volume of betting.
So
Uh,
is this what sort of events in football do this or are relevant to this betting thing? Is it just which team is going to win or which player is going to score? Like what are the different events?
right. So I'll give you a few examples. I'm sure I won't be covering all of them, but
Huh.
you can obviously bet on whether a team wins, loses, draws, uh, whether a team wins by X goals.
Hmm.
This X can be anything. Sometimes you can bet on uh, if the total score line will be over say 2 goals, over 3 goals, like the sum of
So there are
the
multiple
goals for the
events.
both teams. Yeah, I mean you can win bet on if a player gets a yellow card or a red card.
Okay.
Okay.
Exactly.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
ऐसे
yes, yes.
थॉमस में ओए आज ये वाला प्लेयर पिटेगा ये वाला आज पिटेगा.
But this does not involve any stats or any back calculations to it, right? I mean, this can happen, right? Or is there some sort of कि आज yellow card उसको मिलने के chances ज़्यादा है? Do you believe that there is some calculation behind that? Like,
Um.
how do you place the odds?
Right. So I'm not completely sure about that market. I can talk about
Okay.
goals and stuff, but I would think. I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say there's some logic behind how they set the odds on that. Like
Hmm.
uh, yellow cards from the previous games, like how aggressive that player is, or what formation that team is playing that day,
Hmm.
and
Right,
history
right.
between both the
Yeah.
teams. There's probably so many things that uh, actually affect this situation. Than I mean, maybe it's not that random.
Some historical controversies between two players who will probably be guarding
Could
each
be
other during the game.
that that
Okay.
that that could be a reason. So
Okay. So
I
Basically, that way, Sergio Ramos will have a very bad
हाय
odd of
वेरी
getting a yellow
हाय
card. हाँ,
हाय
मिलेगा यार.
मिलेगा यार
मिलेगा
इसको तो
तेरे
पक्का येलो रेड सब मिलेगा इसको.
को. हाँ, so basically, get it, okay.
तो चल ठीक
yeah.
है. In that case, if there is like a match, let's say between Chelsea and Liverpool, ठीक है,
Mhm.
and Thomas and I are two bettors. Let's say he is betting for Liverpool and I am betting for Chelsea. Let's say, okay.
Mhm.
So what is your company going to be doing, or what are you going to be doing in this scenario? I am betting that Chelsea is going to win. Thomas is betting Liverpool is going to win, and we come to you, right, to place our bets in a way. You become the mediator in a way. Like in
So
this story, थोड़ा बता अपना.
right, if I were a bookmaker, so you'd basically come to me and you say you want to bet some X on Chelsea, and
Okay.
Thomas comes to me and he says he wants to bet some Y on Liverpool. So
Hmm.
it's both of you betting against me, and I try to see that both the sides are balanced and offer
Okay.
them accordingly. Because if there's so many people of putting bets on Chelsea and not on Liverpool, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I might have to end up paying my own money if say Chelsea does end up winning. Did you get the point?
Right. Yeah.
If it's
हाँ
not
हाँ
So
balanced,
हाँ.
then
you're
it's not
basically
my
saying that the odds will be different. Like if the Chelsea is the superior team, that'll be a 1-to-1 odd. That if you pay in 100, you might get 200. But if a
yeah
guy bets on Liverpool, let's say 1-to-5 odd, he gets in 100, gets 500 if he wins,
yeah.
and that way there is an incentive to getting into Liverpool too. Is that how it will be?
We'll talk about that like on the betting behavior, but in general my point was that if I were a bookmaker, my idea is basically to see that there's equal amount that I'm liable on both the sides, like irrespective
Mm-hmm.
of what the outcome is. I should be able to make some money out of it. Like the money I'm getting from one side should be enough to pay the other side and still be
हम्म.
left with some money.
तो फिर
So
जो बेट्स डिप्लॉय करता है वो तू डिप्लॉय करता है कि ये बेट्स
yes,
अवेलेबल हैं
exactly,
just to maintain
exactly,
the balance.
exactly.
So these bets
And
that you deploy can change also then.
yeah, so I set the prices
Okay.
and there's so many things that affects my setting of prices. One is obviously the volume of bets going on each team, and how the match is progressing, how the statistics are so far, and if there's any news of player being injured or any basically anything that can affect the result of the match
Hmm.
is or the movement of the prices. By prices, I mean the bets. I use all that information to set the prices myself. So this is how a traditional bookmaker works, and they add some, say, X% commission on top of the bets, so that
Right.
they end up having some money for them.
Mm-hmm.
With a betting exchange, there's no concept of well, it's uh, how to explain it better. So you go to the betting exchange and you create a bet saying, okay, this is this at this price I want to bet on Chelsea winning.
Hmm.
If Thomas thinks that's not a
Mm-hmm.
it, it's I mean you overpriced it and he can make some money out of it, he will bet against you. So your bets will be matched. So there's no
Okay.
intervention
Right.
of a third
Okay.
party between you guys. You're betting among yourselves now. And I, as
Okay.
a betting exchange, take some commission out of the winnings.
After the winnings. Okay.
So I don't have commission on the price itself. It's not implied in the price. I
Hmm.
take I take commission on the winnings. So
Hmm.
that's how betting exchanges operate. Uh,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
so my company is
Oh,
building a betting exchange.
this actually is a very safe bet for you because you'll never be
Hmm.
losing money in that sense.
You'll never be losing money.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
this sounds like
As a
futures and options.
as a betting exchange, you don't uh, risk a lot.
Hmm.
Fair enough. Hmm.
Uh,
It's more like तेरे को सट्टा लगाना है, हाँ तेरे को सट्टा लगाना है, हाँ लगाओ मेरे थ्रू लगाओ, और
लगाओ.
थॉमस 2 जीता, तू 100 जीता, चल 10 रुपए तेरे 100 में से मेरे. तो
हाँ,
अखिल भी लाइक हाँ,
basically.
बेसिकली दैट्स व्हाट्स हैपनिंग. हाँ
Hmm.
ठीक है.
yeah, but there's a challenge too, though. Unless there's enough liquidity on both the sides,
Hmm.
I can't really operate a betting exchange. I mean,
हाँ.
so
हाँ.
True.
people
True.
tend to go
True.
to popular betting exchanges when they can liquidate their bets if they have to.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's. I mean, there's so many comparisons you can draw to a traditional stock exchange or stock markets. Let's say there's not many people buying the stock. There's
Hmm.
only people selling the stock.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Uh, so you can't really liquidate your. I mean,
Hmm.
even if you have so much stock of that some company, you can't liquidate it because of the
Yeah.
market not
Correct.
being active. So it's a challenge to build that. But the other part of the business is building trading models. So there'll be exclusive set of customers who'd be using our models that'll tell them, okay, this is where you should bet, or even to an extent of automatically betting for them based on some statistical models that are behind them.
तो like bots बना
So,
देते हैं and they automatically bet for the person. ये भी
Oh
है.
yeah, there's a lot of betting that happens with bots.
Hmm.
So yeah, you can say my team is specifically building those uh,
Hmm.
for some exclusive clients.
isn't that a clash of interest that you're handling the exchange, and on top of that, you are creating a sort of helping players to make the bets. Maybe probably you can do one thing that people do in the futures and option market is basically they try to create liquidity. They make people in such a way that they always maintain liquidity in a market. But in your
Yeah,
sense, you're basically telling a person that you can bet on this, but you are
this
the
is
exchange itself.
yeah. I understand your question, but the thing is, these are two different sides of the business. The model is not specifically for the betting exchange. Uh, see it as two different wings of the business, not at all related.
Okay.
Uh, so there's one side of the business that's offering these models to clients who can bet on any exchange, any bookmaker, like anywhere they want to.
Right.
And there's one
Okay.
betting exchange which is a traditional betting exchange, which to be honest, does there's not much to differentiate between these betting exchanges apart from the popularity and how many people are on that and stuff like that. So there's no innovation on that part, but it's just the trading models that differentiates how better we do.
Right. तो ऐसा कुछ तुम्हारे like matches ही I'll say because अभी currently you're only in football, right? So ऐसे कोई specific matches हैं जहाँ पे like the betting industry is like hot like एकदम it's like on its peak, like people are just betting in like like millions of pounds. I don't know if millions of pounds is what they bet or not. Also, I just made that number, but are they like है ना? हाँ, that was actually my second question. So first question was, are there any events जहाँ पे betting industry is like full hot, like the market is hot, the betting market? Second question, तूने personally कितनी unreasonable bets देखे according to you, whereas like millions of pounds are going in as a bet, and how many of those bets have you encountered yourself?
Okay, I'll start with the first question. Well, if the popularity of a sport event is high, like a lot of people tune into it, you can safely assume there's a lot of money going into it as well in terms of betting. So end of the day, if only if the people are crazy about that event will they bet. So it's just highly correlated, those things. So
so मैं वही पूछ रहा हूँ, like what are those usual matches, like is it in UK like football के ही? So what are those usual matches like?
Well, you know how the league division system is, Division 1, Division 2, stuff like that, like the Premier League, Bundesliga, Serie A, all those top division leagues.
Yeah.
They usually attract a lot of bets, and of course Champions League and stuff. So it's just that. I mean, popularity equal to
so मतलब definitely like heated up match between Chelsea and Liverpool would see more bets than a match between, let's say, Norwich and Southampton.
You can expect so.
Okay.
You can expect. And coming to the second question of yours, unreasonable bets. I think that's the holy grail of humanity, making unreasonable decisions. So there's this common thing called favorite long shot bias. So people tend to bet on underdogs a lot.
Okay.
Say if a team has 10% chance of winning, people would love to bet on that.
Because returns ज़्यादा है.
So there's this research that always that's been quite popular in behavioral economics and stuff. Why do people make these unreasonable decisions? Like in the gambling industry, say roulette, blackjack, or whatever. People love this possibility of getting a lot of money, even that comes at a very small chance. There was a study where they asked if you have 100% chance of getting $5 or 0.5 chance of getting $1,000. On a long term, you'd assume these both as the payoff, the expected payoff from both of these are just £5. But more people bet on the 0.5% £1,000 than the 100% £5. So thing is, it makes more difference if you do. I mean, although the chances are less likely, that £1,000 or dollars, whichever it is, I think I changed the currency midway, but never mind. So that does make a difference if you do get it. £5 might just mean another coffee for you, but £1,000, you might be thinking of something more fancy.
Business class trip to India, yes.
Exactly. So there's something else that interesting that came out of this. There's something called Pricelink savings accounts.
Okay.
So in US, certain banks implemented this after a few behavioral economists did some extensive research on this. So people don't put money in the savings accounts because the returns are usually low. They instead choose to gamble or invest in stocks, buy penny stocks, whatever, everything possible to that gives them even a small chance of making fortunes. So the banks created this new type of system called Pricelink savings accounts, where you don't get some X% of money annually. That's not how unlike how a regular savings account works. Now, in these accounts, you have say 1% or 0.5% chance of making 30-40% returns.
Okay.
It's think of it like a lottery. You deposit money in your savings account,
Exactly.
and you're entering a lottery. That's how it works. If you do get it, then there's some
30-40%
amount of say returns that you'd get on your savings account, which you wouldn't normally have. If you don't, you don't. You just have your money lying around. And once they implemented this, a lot of people started investing into the savings account, and surprisingly, about 40% of them, or maybe 50, I don't remember the number exactly, are the first-time investors. They have never deposited money in their savings accounts before.
Okay.
So this possibility of making a fortune draws people.
This is a thing which is common across the globe that way.
This is basically buying a lottery ticket.
Buying a lottery ticket.
Yeah,
Exactly.
lottery ticket, yeah.
Exactly.
The chances are it's close to none, but you still would want to buy it.
Yeah. Even worse are, say when you go to casinos and stuff, all the games will be created in such a way that in the long term you're expected to lose. But that doesn't hinder people at all. The people still throw a lot of money at it, hoping
they'll make a fortune. Yeah, hoping the jackpot's gonna come to them. But अच्छा चल ठीक है, let's make this scenario. कोई मैच है फुटबॉल का, ठीक है? Teams A and B. Okay, I'll just actually let's make up the teams. Let's say it's between Man U and कोई थोड़ी अंडरडॉग टीम बताओ. लास्ट टाइम को लेस्टर जीता था ना लास्ट टाइम?
Last time, 3 years back.
3 years back. So it's a match between Man U and Leicester. Okay. So
Leicester is not a bad team.
अबे चल ठीक है.
खराब टीम है मान ले.
चल assume करना. It's a mathematical problem. Assuming Leicester is a poor team.
हाँ, say
Man U versus मोहन बगान.
Man U versus DU.
हाँ. तो ठीक है. अब ये मैच चल रहा है. It is highly favorable that Man U is going to win. Okay. Or it's in favor of them, like the whole game. I have £100. I'm someone who wants to bet. मैंने supposing £80 डाला that Man U will win and £20 डाला that Leicester is going to win. Because Leicester में odds के against I'm kind of betting, तो return भी मेरा ज़्यादा होगा if I'm not wrong. So
right.
Mathematically speaking, using this type of betting methodology, the chances of me losing money is relatively less, or is it? It is hedging. It is hedging. Yes.
You'll lose less, but you'll make nothing. The reason is, okay, I'll explain a bit on how these bookmakers set the prices. Let's say there's only two outcomes possible: Manchester winning or the other team winning.
Correct.
Or let's just say Manchester winning or losing. If they have probability of 50% probability of winning and 50% probability of losing.
Correct.
You would expect the prices to be 2 and 2.
Yes.
As in you bet one and you get two in return. But that's not how it is. They set the prices in such a way that it's say 1.95 on 1.95.
Okay.
So even if you bet on both outcomes,
you'll still be less by 0.05.
Yes.
0.05.
Yes.
Actually, one almost. But okay.
This changes a lot. The percentages changes a lot based on how the probabilities are distributed and stuff like that. But
right.
So this is my commission as a bookmaker. This is called a technical term is overround.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
probabilities don't add up to 1 when bookmakers set the prices. They intentionally do that to have their own
हाँ,
edge.
have their own edge. वहाँ पे वो अपना मार लेंगे, चोंच मार लेंगे आके.
Exactly.
हाँ,
Okay.
हाँ.
So
ठीक है, मतलब तेरे थ्रू तो हम bet नहीं कर रहे अब.
if you keep betting on both
Like,
the sides, that's a sure shot way to lose the over round all the time.
हाँ,
right.
correct. मतलब you'll lose even though a very small part, but you will lose something.
You'll definitely lose. But I'm not saying this is this is impossible. Making money by betting on people do this.
हाँ.
It's just not on the same price. There's usually some difference between bookmakers setting the prices, what they think the probabilities are, and stuff like that. So someone bets on
Right.
Manchester winning on one exchange, where there's a good price for that, and someone the same person bets on a different exchange, saying Manchester loses
Right.
because there's a better price for that. So it's just
Right.
doing
Right.
that calculation and seeing that you do get something out of it. So arbitrage
Okay.
opportunities do exist,
Arbitrage.
Arbitrage.
Yeah,
have to be
yeah,
careful
that
about
is
that.
basically, yeah.
हाँ, वही हो रहा है.
That's, huh.
Okay.
Okay. Hmm. But then, I mean, what's with new companies which are going into betting? Like, I see a lot of them. And is this something that is promoted? Why are companies popping up every now and then regarding betting? Yours is one. I think it's fairly a new one. India may it's booming. There is, I think one of them went unicorn a few years ago.
Fantasy sports.
Yeah, fantasy sports.
Yeah.
So is it sort of because people are more friendly towards betting, or you know, or is it just the government stand of legalizing it?
Well, legalizing is definitely an interesting topic. When I think about it, gambling has always been legal in one way or the other. Stock if if you have ever traded stocks on
Mm-hmm.
the stock market, it's basically gambling.
Hmm.
And that's what you're doing on the sport too. Let's say Sid thinks Manchester is winning and he bets on it. This is nothing different than him thinking, okay, Apple's going to do well this quarter. I'll bet on Apple's
Hmm.
price rising.
Hmm.
So I don't understand the reasoning behind gambling being people losing their lives over gambling and stuff like that. That can happen over a lot of things, like trading too. So I don't see a reason why it shouldn't be. And the other uh, major thing that people have against gambling, sports betting in general, is that this it destroys the I'm not getting the word, but integrity of the sport. There'll be a lot
हाँ.
of spot fixing, match fixing, and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But
True.
from the research and from history, it's never the legalized bookmakers that involve in these. It's always the
हाँ.
ones which hide behind the shadows and which
Hmm.
the illegal businesses that end
Hmm.
up doing fixing leaks and stuff.
Those who are anyway not under the radar, basically.
Exactly.
Peaky Blinders.
हाँ. Picky.
Peaky
Nice
Blinders.
one. हाँ.
So I didn't necessarily agree with that part as well. And coming to
Hmm.
fantasy sports, why is it popular and why is it thriving? That it's I have a point which is linked to both of them.
Hmm.
So in illegal bookmakers or illegal bookies or whatever we call them.
Hmm.
So if you have ever had friends betting on sportsmen, you might have heard they don't actually pay money initially to enter the bet. Someone calls and this is I want to bet on some X team. I want to bet on India winning against Pakistan today,
Hmm.
and they just take the bet, and they only pay if they lose. So what happens in these cases is they bet
Correct.
beyond the money that they have in their pockets.
Correct.
I just have 1,000 in my pockets, but I bet 10,000 that India wins.
Hmm.
And
हाँ.
there's nothing holding me back from even betting 1 lakh, as long as there's someone who's willing to take the bet.
Correct.
They don't verify if you have that money in your pockets.
Okay.
They take it, and it becomes more of a debt collection than betting. So illegal betting is actually more deterrent to quality of life than legalized betting. So if you're operating a transparent process, you can't bet beyond what you have in your accounts. So that itself prevents a lot of the scenarios where people end up in debts and taking their lives. So
जैसे बेसिकली हम लोग नहीं करते थॉमस, तो स्कूल लेवल पे लाइक कोई अपनी बात प्रूव करने के लिए अभी शर्त लगा ले, 5,000 की शर्त लगा ले स्कूल, फिर 5,000 होगा भी नहीं।
50 रुपए ट्रीट के लिए जाते थे।
जब जीतेगा हाँ तो दे पैसा दे तिक में बोला
अबे चलना
भाई नहीं है क्या
exactly.
Basically that's happening at a professional level where your what bread and butter is dependent on that. So that's causing the whole thing to degrade your life. Oh shit, man.
Right. So the fantasy sports now, it takes away that component completely. It took away, I should rather say. So all these fantasy sports apps, you can bet with even 5 rupees, 10 rupees. So it's not much. And what these fantasy sports add is another dimension to your enjoying sport. I mean,
true. Yeah.
You're more thrilled.
Historically, sports betting has always contributed to increased viewership and increased popularity of the sport itself.
Correct.
Now, before, let's say you're not betting on the match, you'd probably just check score on Cricinfo once in a while. But now, say if you bet on some player scoring X runs, some wickets falling in X over, you'd constantly be involved in what's happening in the match, and just
correct.
It's more thrilling. I mean, it's more thrilling whenever there's a risk involved.
Correct.
I mean, let's say if India beat some cricket teams, say PNG or this teams which are just growing up at the moment. It's not that thrilling, is it? But if they do beat Australia, if they do beat England in their own turf, that really brings us a lot of pride and excitement on all these things, because there's a lot of risk involved. There's a huge risk of losing. So only when there's some risk involved, you actually enjoy that process. So this betting is one way to artificially
get that engagement,
create some risk for yourself, so that you are much more involved in the sport than just a regular viewer.
Becoming a partial entrepreneur, basically.
Exactly.
Having some skin in the game.
Exactly. I mean, abhi to वैसे बैठा है. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, relating it back to what Akhil said, like how betting has been in a way legal if you compare it with stock trading and all. अब थॉमस, अब तूने मैंने अगर एप्पल में पैसा ना डाला हो, हमें घंटा फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा वो उठ रहा है गिर रहा है या व्हाटएवर इट इज. बट जब हम डालेंगे, मतलब as long as हमें फर्क पड़ेगा, we'll be engaged towards it. We'll be like, क्या कर रहा है क्या था ये टिम कुक वो
the best idea is right now Putin going to war with Ukraine. I mean, everyone's like, क्या यार क्यों जा रहा है मेरा पैसा
सब चीजें महंगी हो जाएंगी वगैरह.
नहीं, I think anyone who has the stock market, at least some money involved.
Yeah. It has gone down. It has crashed, man. Crashed like full on.
Yeah.
And especially crypto, but okay.
Especially crypto.
Because if I'm not wrong, काफी सारी mining actually happens in Russia also. A lot of it.
It does.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure of that.
Like वो जो like massive, I don't know what do they call it, like massive servers which are just being put up for the purpose of mining crypto. So I know there are many in China, there are many in Russia also. In these cold places, there are plenty of them. So Russia has
I think it helps heat dissipation and stuff.
Yeah,
exactly, of the whole system, of the whole servers and everything, the machinery. But काफी सही. कुछ थॉमस कुछ ऐड करना है कुछ?
No, in this case, I mean, I feel that if people shouldn't, be so averse of betting it out there, and they should at least enter the market, understand the game. That would give them a better insight into how things work. And don't be averse
Yeah.
of anything. That is actually the bad idea. Explore it.
Yeah.
थोड़ा पैसा कम डालो, but explore करो.
एक्सप्लोर
That's
करो,
what I would say.
एक्सप्लोर करो.
Yeah.
अखिल
Yeah.
तू कुछ
No,
बोल.
I mean, my pitching for legality doesn't change anything, I'm pretty sure, but I think making it legal actually helps a lot.
हाँ नहीं वो तो है. सही. Any final note और कुछ ऐड करना?
I think it's been a great conversation. I think ये gives you an insight into what I never knew कि एक futures and options market जैसा बन रहा है betting industry में भी. And yeah, I don't think a lot of people would know about it, and I think you've been an absolutely great person.
मैं वही सोच रहा हूँ कि
get to know about it. हाँ.
Exactly, मैं वही सोच रहा हूँ that enough of the stock trading and all, man. अब थोड़ा ये भी शुरू करते हैं. Let's discover this side of life too now.
थोड़ा पैसा.
थोड़ा बस पैसा ही नहीं है, इंटरेस्ट बहुत है, पर इंटरेस्ट पूरा है.
पैसा उड़ाने का तो मेरे को बहुत इंटरेस्ट है.
इंटरेस्ट को जानते हैं, बुकी को जानते हैं, बुकी कंपनी में डेटा साइंटिस्ट को जानते हैं, सब जानते हैं. पैसा नहीं है बस. I think we should head back to the old school of trading ना, कि हाँ 1000 लगा दे, हारेंगे तो देखेंगे, दे देंगे.
कॉलेज में होते हैं लड़के.
That's my friends. So whenever India match happens, they bet on the opponent. I mean, although they might lose most of the time, their ideology behind that is, if India wins, we're happy because India won. If India loses, we're happy because we won some money.
It's like, I need to be happy, but
ये इन्होंने धंधे के साथ इमोशंस जोड़ दिए. ये गलत है इन्होंने. ये दोगलापन है.
ये स्केलेबल आइडिया नहीं है. ये स्केलेबल आइडिया
है ही नहीं. इसके कारण मैं इससे आउट हूँ.
इमोशनल होना मेरा एक्सपर्टीज नहीं है.
वो भी तो है ना, वो भी मैं इस प्रोडक्ट से रिलेट ही नहीं कर पा रही.
हाँ वही तो, मेरी एक्सपर्टीज नहीं है. Yep. But I think, I mean, we can bring this to a conclusion with this.
Yes.
But this has been a great understanding कि कैसे चलती है market.
Great.
Because yeah.
I'm glad. I really enjoyed it too.
So once again, thanks Akhil. Thanks for being a part of this and making us as well as our audience aware about how this industry works and what is the potential that's lying in there for other fellow bettors. So on this note, let's wrap up this episode. Once again, thank you all for listening and take care. Do write in and do follow our channel.
Yeah, and start betting.
Let's start betting. Bet on us.
Bet me.
Bet me.
Chalo.
Chalo. Bye guys.